folks, I've talked about a book called The Go-Giver on here a lot, and I'm not going to spoil the read. You need to go read it if you haven't. Read it 3 times. It'll take you a day or two. It's not a long book, but 3 of the laws of the 5 laws are talking about, the amount of value you create is for others is the worth that you have. And another one is influence, right? And so you may have this great thing that creates so much value, right? But part of the value you create has got to be the experience in attaining that item, right? Because again, if let's just talk about Apple, and I'm going to piss a lot of people off when I say this, but I don't care. It's going to be a fun one. Apple versus Android. I'm going to go there. It's almost as bad as talking politics on the air. But if you are a Apple versus an Android person, you've got things that you like about it. But what I'm going to exert my opinion. When I go to a website to acquire an Apple product, it is the most beautiful portrayal. The thing spins as I scroll. I mean, I get X-ray views. I just feel really good about this device that I'm looking at buying. I just bought an iPhone 15 yesterday, so I'm feeling pretty good. But you look at the same thing on maybe the equivalent Samsung website, and it's starting to get there, but it's just still just not as crisp and as clean. And so part of the value, even down to where and Apple's the first on this, down to the first time I received the thing in the mail and I opened the box, there was whole videos made about the unboxing experience. That's not even the product. This is a stupid box it comes in, but I felt good in the process, You're
listening to the Real Estate Runway Podcast, powered by Quattro Capital, where we're all about alternative business and investment strategies to help you amplify life and maximize wealth. Here's your host, Chad, the Investment Maverick.
All right. Real Estate Runway family, welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Runway Podcast. I'm so excited for this one today. We have Shaun Whynacht with Blue Cow Marketing. We're going to be talking about some pretty cool stuff on applying a systems approach to your marketing and sales funnel, and really just things that you don't really want to be repetitively doing in your business. So we're going to talk to Shaun about that wonderful topic. Before we get into it, folks, if you get any value out of this show or anything else we produce here at Quattro or Real Estate Runway, just like it, share it with someone you know, subscribe to it. We don't do any paid advertising here. It's just paying it forward in word of mouth. So please be awesome and do that. And now, without further ado, Shaun, welcome to the show, brother. How are you today?
Chad, thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
Good.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And I'm super excited for this topic today. As a young company years ago, we went through this as well. And I'm not even going to say we're perfect, because you probably would go look at our stuff and say, hey, we can change this, this, and this. But talking about the customer journey and what the customer experience is. For us, customers are investors and residents. We have 2 customer pools, in our business that we have to appease, those who are leasing properties and those who are actually investing in our projects. But before we get into that topic, tell me a little bit about yourself. Why'd you get into this line of work? And I note that on all of your public content, you talk a lot about a systems approach. So tell us who you are before we get into the meat today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my background is actually in media production. That's what I went to school for many, many years ago. And from that, I got into doing online marketing, website design, which is usually the most common entry point. And then through that journey over the last 2 decades, which kind of makes me feel old, but, I've evolved into being introduced to marketing automation. So being able to take different aspects of your marketing process, whether it's lead capture to nurture to follow up, and automate that. So, when a lead comes through your website or through social media, it's not sitting there in this dark hole until you get around to, sending a message back, right? It's the time to get back to that prospect as quickly as possible can be automated. And I was absolutely intrigued by that. And how you actually turn that into a process and a system. And then once you've gotten that system down pat, is how do we amplify that so that you can scale your business, you can scale your operation. So you're ultimately just doing the stuff that you're really good at. And in most business cases, that is working one-on-one with your actual paid clients. So this intrigued me. Technology intrigued me over the many years, and now the forefront of AI coming into the mix is making it even more and more enjoyable and entertaining in my mind to figure out how to build more systems to really automate that process and that journey. And that's really what it comes down to. And over those years, what gets lost in that is that customer journey. We've seen that idea of automated phone systems where you call and it's press 1 for this, press 2 for that, and that came out and it was this huge kind of stepping ground to systematize the phone system. And now when you call a number and you get a live human being on the other end, that people are like, wow, this is a great company, like I actually get to talk to somebody. So a lot of times it's things come full circle. And that's really where I'm at is working with clients and getting them to think about what is it that their client needs, not only once they say, yes, I want to work with you, but when they first start to do top of funnel activities. So they're becoming problem aware or solution aware, and they're doing that research when they come to your website or your Facebook page, or they call your office. What does that journey look like for them, and can it stay consistent through the whole process?
That makes a lot of sense. And a term you and I were kind of throwing around in the beginning of this is the customer journey. And I think you even said customer journey map. So before we even start talking about tools and AI and fancy technology and automation, what is that, and why do we need to be thinking about it? As because let me qualify the question. In any business, whether we talk a lot about real estate here, but really in any business, you put capital into a business to leverage that capital, and that gets applied to human capital, right? When you pay people to use their time to accomplish a goal. It goes into technology capital, where you buy technology to accomplish a certain thing. It may go into tech development or whatever thing it is you're going to create. But what we're talking about is leverage here, and in a highly manual situation of marketing, you could be leveraging all people touch time, or maybe there's a technology aspect. But before we even do that and try to optimize the muscle behind it, what in the world is a customer journey, and why do we care?
Well, I mean, a customer journey is essentially exactly what it sounds like. It's the journey, the path, the steps that customer, or even earlier than that, the prospect, if you want to think of it that way, goes through from when they first see or hear about you as a possible solution to the problem they're trying to fix, to right through to after you finish working with them, and then you want them to start to refer people to you. So it is essentially that roadmap. So I mean, let's think about it as taking a trip. Everyone has taken a trip at some point in their life. You're not just thinking about, hey, the end goal. It's what's that process along the way. So you go for a Sunday road trip and you take the long way, along the shore or whatever it is. And it's very calming and relaxing, and it just feels like a really nice experience for you. Like, how can we make that kind of experience with your business? So when they come to the Google search and they're looking for real estate investment opportunities, or looking for properties, or whatever that is, does your website come up for that? And when they go there, is what they're looking for readily available? Are all the questions available there? And if they aren't, how easy is it for them to find that out? Is there a live chat on your website, or is there a chat bot that might answer some of those questions? Are they able to get a hold of you? Can they call a number? Do you get back to them, or does somebody get back to them in a relatively short period of time? Right? These are all crucial steps in that journey that makes it frictionless for them. Because in the service-based industry, it's usually the one that gets back to them first usually gets that deal, because you're probably not the only fish that they're fishing for. They're trying a bunch of different ones out there, and the one that gets back and answers those questions and makes them feel good is where they're going to go that way. So you look at it as that path, and for a lot of businesses, they think about it the moment that the person actually commits to working with them, and they're like, okay, well, we have a process in place, we have these checklists in place, but they don't think of it further up the chain from the website. Can they access it from their phone? Can they get all the questions answered that are on there? So that's why it's key, is to figure out, if you were a ideal customer for yourself, what would be the smoothest, flawless experience you would want, and then start to architect that around it.
I love how you put all that together. And look, just to kind of additionally qualify from personal experience what Shaun has just eloquently verbalized, folks, the customer journey takes many routes, right? And so the customer, like he just described a nice long oceanic drive to get to your destination, right? Well, maybe that's what this customer needs, but maybe the other customer is like, hey man, time is money. I got stuff to do. Like I need to take the freeway and get there as quick as possible, and so you're going to have, like, first of all, we're all battling the attention span problem. Everyone in this world, no matter what they're looking for or where they're coming from, they're getting bombarded with information constantly. And so they don't have time to go into a rabbit hole and really just click around and try to figure out what they need from your website or from your top of funnel content, whatever it is. They're going to get bored in about 15 seconds, probably. I don't know if you have a different metric on that, but they're going to get bored pretty quickly and either give up on you or like they're going to make a decision on you with a first impression pretty quickly. And then from there, the challenge is, some people need to subscribe to your content and get some feel goods for a few months and kind of take the long way. And then some people are like, hey, I'm ready to buy. I'm ready to buy right now. Who's the easiest, fastest, and where it's going to make me feel the best. And this is why it's so important to automate and have good stuff in place ahead of time, because you don't, like, especially in our business, folks, if you are raising investment capital, that is a white glove service. And you may have someone who's coming to you with $4 million and they need to get on the phone. They need to feel loved and cared about and served. And it's a white glove thing. And then you may have someone who's like, I'm dropping 20 grand in all these different investments and I don't have time to talk to you. I just want to review your stuff, feel good about you, and make a sale or make an investment. And so if you don't have all that in place, if each one of those fish can't swim the way they want to swim without you touching it somewhere, probably going to lose a lot of different sales and not know where to take them. So anyway, I want to bring it back, Shaun, to A, let you comment on what I just said if you want, but B, now that we're getting into what we need to have in place, let's start talking about some of your solutions that, via tech and AI and automation, and like, what does that even look like? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I do want to comment on what you said, because you brought up a really great point there. Because, when we start to architect the journey, what we challenge people to think of is what is that quickest route to cash, right? So what if you get that prospect that is like, I'm ready to do it now? What does that look like? What's the bare minimum you need? And it may just be, hey, I need to get on the phone with them as quickly as possible. But there's these other people that want to take that longer path. So, where they come to your website and they want to take the longer path, you're probably not going to have your direct phone number available on your website that's coming to your cell phone all the time, because you're going to get those tire kickers and the people that want to take the long path, and it's going to interrupt your day. So putting something in place like it does go to an admin line where a live person answers, and they are trained in the system enough to ask the right questions to find out, are they the hot investor who needs to talk to you? And in that case, they can make that contact with you quicker than somebody who's not. And maybe there's a longer road process where they, book them out a longer period of time. And then there's some information that gets automatically collected in there. So, when time is money, in most cases it is, what are they valuing? Are they talking to a real person? Well, let's put somebody in front of you first so they can talk to you and find out how serious they are, and they have the permission to then make that direct connection to you. So it looks different along that way. And then also, where are the holes? Where can people fall off that road and get to a dead end, and how do we bring them back along the way? And that's where we look at longer term nurtures for those people that need that period of time to like, know, and trust you over time, and really see are you a right fit for them. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we jump to the tech and the solutions, you just kind of spawned another thought, right? And folks, I've talked about a book called The Go-Giver on here a lot, and I'm not going to spoil the read. You need to go read it if you haven't. Read it 3 times. It'll take you a day or 2. It's not a long book, but 3 of the laws of the 5 laws are talking about, the amount of value you create is for others is the worth that you have. And another one is influence, right? And so you may have this great thing that creates so much value, right? But part of the value you create has got to be the experience in attaining that item, right? Because again, if let's just talk about Apple, and I'm going to piss a lot of people off when I say this, but I don't care. It's going to be a fun one.
Going down this road.
Apple versus Android. I'm going to go there. It's almost as bad as talking politics on the air. But, you know, if you are a Apple versus an Android person, you've got things that you like about it. But what I'm going to exert my opinion. When I go to a website to acquire an Apple product, it is the most beautiful portrayal. Like the thing spins as I scroll. I mean, I get X-ray views. Like I just feel really good about this device that I'm looking at buying. You know, I just bought an iPhone 15 yesterday, so I'm feeling pretty good. But you know, you look at the same thing on maybe the equivalent Samsung website, and it's starting to get there, but it's still just not as crisp and as clean. And so part of the value, like even down to where and Apple's the first on this, down to the first time I received the thing in the mail and I opened the box, like there was whole videos made about the unboxing experience. Like that's not even the product. This is a stupid box it comes in, but I felt good in the process, you know? So, I kind of forget where I was going with that, but the point was, you know, you have to make the front end of it feel as good as the back end of it, where the real value, because I mean, I didn't buy this thing for the website or the box, but it sure as heck felt good getting this thing in my hand and all the steps it took to get there. Right. So anyway, back to you, Shaun. Let's talk about some of the solutions that are available for us to put in place today, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm big on technology, and you know, especially if you're a you know, a professional who's mobile a lot, so you're on the road. You know, any tech that you have, absolutely to this day needs to have a mobile experience for you to use it as well. So if it's got an app built in that can get all your leads, your communication, all the notes, everything that you need to, and I'm referring to like a CRM system that's out there. You know, so the moment that somebody, you know, connects with you, you know, and it's not always they're going to connect by sending you an email. You know, we're in this day and age where your communication is so splintered that, you know, they're finding you on LinkedIn, they're finding you on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, wherever you are, right? And it's obviously all of those don't apply to everyone, but there needs to be a way that no matter where they communicate to you, it gets into your hands. Or into an admin in your hands. So we utilize a system with our clients called High Level. It's a very common CRM that's out there. And being in the marketing automation space for over 15 years, I've used a lot of different tools. But what I like about this tool is the fact that it's a full CRM, full marketing capabilities, texting, but it also has a centralized inbox for all those different platforms to come into one spot. And now it's starting to leverage AI tools. So, you know, if people comment on a post online or they want to talk to you through a website chat, they can actually answer those key questions that they're looking for on your behalf. And then if it doesn't know it, it will actually make a recommendation like, you know, that's a great question. You know, why don't you book a call with me or with one of our team members? Would you like to? You say, yes. It says, perfect. Here's the link. And then they can book it all online. Which is another key thing that I don't know everyone is doing right now, but they should be. It's been around for quite some time, is giving the end consumer the ability to pick a time that works for them. I don't know if there's a specific stat on the amount of time wasted in emails back and forth trying to pick a time to have a call or have an appointment. And we've all experienced this, you know, is Thursday okay? And then you get back to them, and by that time, Thursday doesn't work for them, right? So
I read that average, by the way, it is on average 400 times as much time. Like if you go from the amount of spending less than 5 minutes on Calendly to the average email going back and forth is 2 to 3 times, which is often days, and then things change. It is 400 times as long. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And you know, as a professional, your time is better used somewhere else. So giving somebody a Calendly link, or, you know, there's hundreds of different systems that are out there. But being able to say, okay, if you want to talk about your project or, you know, this opportunity, you know, here are the times that are available in my calendar in real time, right? So the moment they pick it, you know it's going to work for them. That's why they picked it. But also gives them the ability to reschedule or cancel if something comes up. Again, completely automated, out of your hands. And you are notified the moment it happens. So if you want to call them beforehand, you've got all that information because it's collected it along the way. So, you know, from the CRM side, that's what I recommend is that can you access it through your mobile device, not just on a laptop, but on your phone. And that's going to be important. And also, if you're not utilizing AI tools out there to amplify your efforts, because we all know we still have to market. ChatGPT came around. There's many more that are out there, but people think of it as, hey, it can write me a blog post. Well, it can do a heck of a lot more than that. We've utilized it to take the right tone into an email response. We all have those times where emotions come into play in a business deal, and somebody sends you an email and you just want to reply back with some hurt feelings or anger in it, and you've probably hurt some relationships along the way by hitting send. Well, what we've utilized is the ability to tell people, hey, write it out the way you feel, and then throw it into a tool like AI and say, can you tone this down a bit and make it a little more empathetic to the situation? And it does a really great job at doing that. Or maybe you want to create content. So you're on the road, you're recording audio in your car through your phone, you send it off to a team member that transcribes it, and now they can use AI tools to splinter that out into social posts, to blog posts, anything that you want along the way. So those are the two that I think any professional these days needs to have, is a really good CRM system that captures all that lead information and can nurture and follow up, and utilize AI, because I've heard this so blatantly said in the last several months, is there going to be two businesses in the future, and it's going to be those that utilize AI and those that are no longer in business.
That's about right. And down to the individual level, I've even heard there's two jobs in the future: one who tells the AI what to do, and one who gets told by the AI what to do. So there's that too. But and thinking about, I'll candidly say it. We are on HubSpot. We've been there for a long time, and we have a contract we're waiting on expiring before we get to move to High Level. But we've been tracking that software platform for a while in the CRM world. I think it's a HubSpot killer. I think HubSpot has gotten too fat and too expensive on their products, especially for mid-tier and lower tier businesses. They've become more, they're trying to compete with Salesforce, I think is kind of where they are. But, they've got AI and stuff like that too. But it's High Level or Go High Level, whatever it's called. It's, it's fully, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's fully customizable. You can white label a version for your company. It has native AI built into it, so it can actually kind of start interacting in some ways, and you can train that GPT to help with it. Not to mention, text marketing, email marketing, social media marketing, and bringing everything back. It's a really good place. Now I'll mention to you guys, those who are doing any sort of offering that is regulated by the SEC, you're probably still going to need, unless Shaun tells me I'm wrong and has a solution for it, you're probably still going to need your investment management system. That is kind of where it's the wall behind where all your actual offering docs and all that are. But think about the way we have it set up is we have that at the bottom of the funnel, and that's where people go and, man, they're ready to buy, they're signing docs, and their existing customers swirling down there, right? This High Level, if you're thinking of the funnel, that's middle of funnel. That's where like all your leads from top of funnel have come into, and you've captured them, like whether it's a social media post or it's a podcast or it's whatever top of funnel stuff you have out there, your website, they do something, they interact with it, and they become captured in your middle funnel, where this is where Shaun and his expertise can help you with automating messages and different journeys they can take, where you haven't done a thing except make sure that whatever buttons they clicked have generated the path they're going to go down, and they start getting just automatic touch time. And eventually, when they're ready, that's when they're going to reach out and say, hey man, I'm ready to get in your system and go to bottom of funnel and really start talking about buying. And that's where your relationship has personally started. So it's like in our world of real estate syndication, this is such a powerful thing, because you don't, and I'm telling you from experience, you do not realize how many leads you're turning away by having a self-built bootstrapped website, unless you're a web developer, having, all sorts of social media marketing going out and nowhere for it all to be captured. Like you have no idea what you're it's bouncing right off the top and never coming back,
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I'll get off my soapbox, but let me let you bounce back in and maybe talk about some of the stuff we can do, and put in place, and what Blue Cow Marketing is really known for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk on this high level idea, not not from the feature set of what it is, but what they've done as a company that I think you can learn from in today's day and age running any business. Like I said, I've been in 15 years of using marketing automation. I've used Infusionsoft / Keep for 10 years. And then most recently in the last 6 months, I've come into the high level world. And most tech companies that are out there, they develop internally features that they think the customer wants based off of their own research, and they release them maybe yearly, maybe every 6 months. What High Level is doing differently is the founder of the company is very much involved in the user community. They take every suggestion that you have to heart. They put it in a voting system. We get to vote as customers to say, hey, this feature, yeah, I'd like that. And almost every 2 weeks, they're releasing features. I've seen a suggestion come out in as little as 3 weeks after it was suggested. And it makes it such a pleasure to be part of having a tool like that. So, it's on like when you get like these new features that come out every year, and then suddenly like your entire process breaks because almost the software has changed. So what you take from that is, if you are very close to your customers or your prospects and not having so many people between you and them, you can really build a business that people feel invested in and part of. And I think that's going to be key. Is you as the business owners, you as the CEO, you need to not stand up on this white soapbox like way up high and look down at the people. Be in the group and hearing what they want. So when a client comes along and they're like, you know what, I was missing this information, I was confused. You need to listen to that and be like, what can we change in our process to not have that happen again, right? And then make that change happen in the system. But yeah, getting back to the middle of the funnel, that's the key part where any CRM works really well, because you get into a lead saying, hey, I'm somewhat interested. I've raised my hand, I've done something. Then they get into your sales pipeline, for lack of a better word for that. But and that's from a lead to a qualified lead to, hey, maybe you're sending a proposal to all that in those steps. And as they go through that, the type of information they need changes, right? They need to know, there's a point where, can you provide a solution to their problem? Well, that's really kind of top of funnel, middle funnel. And then once they say, okay, I've had that console, that's great. Now it's like, do I trust them? Right. So now it's more of like, here's some case studies or here's some client testimonials that kind of reinforce you're in the right place, right? You've made the right decision to come along this journey with us. And you can automate all that. Anytime you change something, an automated process can happen. We build for clients something called a high value nurture. And that is a huge time saver, because not everybody's going to be a fit. They may need to buy now. They may need to buy in 6 months. They may never need to buy, but they may know somebody that may need to buy from you. So you can't discredit and just throw them away. So what this is it's a year-long automation that sends out an email or a text message, whatever you choose, every 2 weeks. And it gives them pure value. It is not a sales pitch. It's not an offer. It's information that's going to help them along the way. And the key is, at some point, they may do something and raise their hand again and be pulled out of that, right? Because now they want to book a call. And if that doesn't work, they get put back into it, but they pick up where they left off. They don't start over again. And that has created such huge benefit for professionals who are like, I can't stay in touch with all these people, right? And I don't want to do a newsletter, right? Because I don't want to send the same thing to everybody. I want them to get stuff at different points along the journey. So that's stuff that we help clients with. And we white label High Level. We've called it Client Connector, and it's clientconnector.app. And it is a full-on version of High Level, but just under a white label brand.
Yeah. And folks, I'll again, just talking from experience here, it is, you can, if you're of the bootstrap mindset and you're like, hey, I'm pretty tech savvy, I can go set all this up. You can, but I will tell you, you're going to have to become an expert on the software pretty quickly. You're not going to have the learnings that someone like a Blue Cow Marketing has already put in place with a lot of testing and things of that sort. And I'll caution you on done for you marketing in general. there's a lot of companies peddling, hey, I can go do this for you. They've got a one size fits all thing. They're not going to get to know your company and ask the right questions. What I would see Blue Cow doing here by our conversations is really understanding what is that journey? What are these maps we need to lay out, and figuring out, well, what automations can we put in place to have those, those automatic touches along the way as the customer needs, and really get them to self-identify, right? Rather than you chasing them with I mean, how painful is it to sit down and write a broad stroke newsletter? We've all done it. So I would highly recommend you at least interview, Shaun or his company or someone like this if you're thinking about going this route, because it is not the best use of your time, and you're not going to have the expertise and learnings that someone who does this day in and day out is going to have. So that's my 2 cents on that. But Shaun, before we kind of bring it to a close and get to the Quattro questions in the end, anything else you'd want to kind of conclude for the audience and just say, hey, here's how we need to be thinking about this problem together?
Yeah, I mean, we covered a lot in this episode, but I think what you need to consider is, what is the best use of your time, right? What are you going to get the biggest return out of? Is it sitting there and learning how to build an automated campaign where it's not your thing that you do every single day? Or is it out there, let's maybe shaking hands, at a business event and making those relationships, right? I know right now it's the second one. It's going to be better for you. So while you think you can do a lot of the tech stuff, the initial setup is really more efficient when you're working like somebody like my agency or any agency that's out there. I spend every single day in these tools. So, I've actually changed my model most recently in the financial space to, go from, a 30 or 60 day implementation down to a 3-day intensive implementation, right? So, getting you the quickest return on investment as possible, spending 3 days dedicated to, let's learn the system, let's build out all the automation, let's get you using it, right? And then let's kind of check back in 30, 60 days and be like, okay, what do you need to have changed, versus spanning it all out really long and in that process. And that has worked really well for that. So it's like, let's learn who you are. Let's learn who your customers are, and learn what you really want out of life, right? Is it stuck to a computer every night after you're done all your meetings trying to do your marketing for the next day? Or is it, just knowing exactly what you need to have done? And either some people do it for you or you do some of it. But that's the big thing, is where's the best use of your time?
That's perfect. So good mic drop on that note. Shaun, let's get to a couple of questions to just get to know you better as a person. A little bit of fun here at the end. Shaun, what is your superpower? Could be life or business, and how does it serve you well?
Absolutely. I mean, I remember from as long as I've had a memory as a child, I was very inquisitive into how do things work, right? I was the one that would take things apart and either rebuild them into something else, or just figure out how they work and put them back together, and they still worked. So that's kind of a skill that has come to me in this marketing, design of systems. Most clients will call me and like, here's my problem, or I'll ask them like, what ideally do you want to have the experience be? Like, forget any preconceived limitations of what you think can happen and what can happen. If there were no walls, what do you want to have happen? And then I can take that and then figure out all the parts that need to happen for that experience to turn out. And for some reason, it just comes naturally to me. And that is probably one of the biggest strengths that I've had through this whole journey of the last 20 years.
Yeah, that's a great one. And so now I want to flip the coin over, Shaun, and tell me, what is your biggest failure or mistake? Again, life or business, your choice. And most importantly, what did you take away from it? What did you learn from it?
Absolutely. I mean, my biggest mistake is not a specific experience, but it has been something that I think most people do, is they try to be everywhere at the exact same time online. So, when I started my business, I was trying to be everything to everybody, and I was trying to go in all these different, areas of business. And should I be a niche marketing agency, or should I not? Or, should I learn 15 different softwares and service them all? And really what that ends up doing is just splintering my abilities to a point where I'm not any good to anyone, because I'm having to divide my attention up. So what I've done with this and what I've learned with this in the last 2 years has been, I'm going to focus on what I do best. And while I call myself a marketing company, I'm really a systems engineering company, with a very strong understanding of the marketing principles that are there. So working with clients who understand their brand already, or maybe they're working with somebody that helps them with their brand identity or their messaging, works really well, because they can come to me like, here's who we are. We know who we are. We know what we want to have happen. We just don't know how to make it happen. And then that's where I jump in with the systems, and make it easy. So, behind the scenes, let's look at an Apple phone. You use that example. For most people, they want it to be able to do all the apps and make all the calls and send all the text messages, but they don't need to know all the circuitry that's inside, right? They just need to know, hey, if I pick it up, it'll do what I need it to do, right? And that's what I want to do for people, is just give them what they need and let the technology do it for them and behind.
That makes perfect sense. And folks, there's so many things that go with that. You can be a mile wide and a yard deep, or a mile deep and a yard wide. Jack of all trades, master of none. There's a lot of wisdom in what he just said. Is you can't be everywhere. And even if you're just use the social media example. If you're just trying to do social media well, I finally learned this lesson the hard way. I decided for my authenticity that I needed to be the one doing my social media. I could not ever get on board with the content being created for me. That's my choice. It's not best for everybody. Mm-hmm. But I also figured out, I really can't be trying to optimize one set of content to do well on all platforms. It just doesn't work. You have different algorithms, and so I finally committed to LinkedIn, and it's going phenomenally well. And I'm probably generating 4x the amount of traffic, qualified traffic, that I was, across 5 different platforms before, trying to be good at Twitter and Instagram and all that. So same kind of stuff, man. I love it. And last question, Shaun. Okay. You've got a gift for the audience, I believe. Looks like something related to the 5 biggest mistakes that you often see clients make. So tell us a little bit about that and where we can find it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's an ebook report, and there's an email series that comes with it that I've written. And it's called the 5 Most Common Failures in Your Customer Journey. And you can get it by going to bluecowmarketing.ca/mistakes. And then I'm just going to double check that for you, but I'm pretty sure that's what I set it to instead of failures, but it's mistakes. Yeah. And that will redirect you to the page, and you'll be able to put in your information there and get that. And it's a really good read. It's not super long, but it will give you an understanding of what people have done in the past that are really hindering that customer journey, and then how to fix that.
That's great. And folks, that will be in the show notes for your clicking pleasure if you're looking at this on YouTube or any podcast app. So no worries if you're driving, it's right there. Scroll down to it and hit it. Shaun, thank you for coming on the show today. This has been fantastic. Lots of nuggets that we've gone through in this episode. I feel like I have a better understanding even of our marketing setup and I've been through this journey like 4 or 5 times already and never been as good. So I appreciate your knowledge and wisdom, and hope to have you back on soon.
Thank you so much, Chad, for having me.
All right, everybody. This has been another episode of the Real Estate Runway Podcast. If you got any value out of the show, remember, like, subscribe, click, swipe, just do something so we know it and the algorithm knows it too. Until next time, over and out.
We hope this episode was insightful and brought value to your day. If so, please be awesome and leave us a 5-star review. Find out how Team Quattro can help you at thequattroway.com and scroll down for more info. Until next time, this is the Real Estate Runway Podcast.